Hello, in this quick video, I'm going to talk to you about a new rule that YouTube will be enforcing on the 20th of October that could possibly get your account shut down, and probably this one if they do it retrospectively, on the discussions you can and can't have regarding nicotine. Because as regular viewers know, I have been experimenting with the effects on the brain. So, while I'm discussing things that are quite likely going to get this channel shut down, I thought I might as well go whole hog and talk about why I think BritCard is a red herring and what the real and present threat actually is. Now, shout out to Richard Vobes. It was him that actually sent me this. So let me get the text up. Now, will that stop it recording? Oh, turns out I can't go to another screen and read stuff. It stops the video recording. So I'm going to have to summarise. Basically, YouTube are saying that from the 20th of October, they are changing their medical misinformation policy to include to anyone that falsely claims that nicotine or smoking are not harmful or addictive, even if they are voicing their opinion on their personal experience, as I have done in previous videos, and saying that they don't find nicotine addictive, then content will be removed and a possible channel strike. So it will be very interesting to see if they go back and retrospectively remove any video that's got that in, because I've discussed this on, I think, every single one of my pipe smoking experiments and nicotine experiments. So I do find it fascinating that this information is being suppressed and that you're not allowed to discuss it anymore. That does rather make me feel, whenever they do this, that one must be right over the bullseye on truth. So it's made me even more curious about it. So I will continue growing the tobacco plant and experimenting and finding out all of the uses for it, because there's many outside of just smoking it. Richard Vobes was telling me it can be used as an insecticide on plants if you marinate the leaves in water. So organic growers use this a lot. So it's a very interesting plant, and as I say, it's made me even more interested. So anyway, all of those of you that have pipe smoking channels, I'm afraid it does rather look as if you're going to have to be a little bit careful about what you say. Frankly, I've got to the stage where I don't actually care if YouTube remove this channel. I've got so fed up with the censorship, so fed up with not being able to say what I want to say, and the amount of editing it takes to get a video done that is YouTube friendly. So if this channel does suddenly disappear, you can find me over on Substack, but also the thing that I'm most excited about is I've been given a weekly radio slot over at Clear Air FM, which is a brand new free speech radio station. And it's been set up by the team that run The Light Paper, which many people in the UK will know. It's again a freedom of speech newspaper and teller of the truth. And this platform is so free speech, it's actually put me into shock. For my weekly show, I have asked, do you have any content guidelines? No. Is there anything that I can't say? No. Like, oh, you mean I can say whatever I want? Are you sure that's a good idea? They are just building it out at the moment, and there is placeholder content there. But if you go to their website, clearair.fm, you'll be able to get a taste of the types of things that are coming. Now, I don't know what day of the week my slot will be on. I have no idea if they are going to have an archive, so you can listen to it when it's not live on air. But after it's gone out live, I will put a version of it on my Substack. So that's going to be the best place to get hold of me if this channel suddenly disappears. Right, on to something very important for those of us living in the UK. BritCard. There's so much focus on that, and everyone's saying, no, I'm not going to have a digital ID. We know what you're trying to do. But is that lovely BritCard just a red herring? I've come to the conclusion, thanks to the work of Claire Wills Harrison, and you can find out everything she has to say on her Substack called Conscientious Currency, and I really strongly recommend you go over there and read it, especially if you're living in the UK. Now, She talks about Gov UK One login. I had never heard of that until she mentioned it in her Substack. And what that basically is the digital ID infrastructure, but it's being rolled out piecemeal. And all this information, currently, if you're on benefits, you'll be using the gov.uk login system. It's going to be tied in bit by bit with everything. And the company directors thing will just be another thing that's added into it. So I'm just going to read you a very tiny piece from her Substack. Right, she says, I'm going to call it now. We are already in a psychological operation as regards the digital BritCard announcement. Whilst the actual architecture for digital ID is already in place and people are opting in without even realising it, the backdoor dynamic. The BritCard announcement dropped in late September 2025 as a bold, mandatory work check scheme to secure borders. This has grabbed the headlines and sparked a petition, which now has over 3 million signatures. However, I want to somewhat controversially say that this is arguably a distraction from the quieter, more insidious integrations happening via legislation like the Data Use and Access Act 2025, which got royal assent in June, and the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill still progressing through Parliament. These both embed digital ID elements into everyday systems. Gov.uk One login for pensions and services. Gov.uk Wallet for document storage. NHS app expansions for health data and mandatory unique child identifiers in education and social care. In addition, identity proofs are soon to be required for company directors, established under earlier legislation, with the identity verification process to become legally mandated from November the 18th, 2025, all without a big digital ID card fanfare. In other words, people are signing up piecemeal for convenience, and suddenly opting out will become impossible. Please read the entire article, which I will link to in the comments below, or watch the video that she has done talking you through this. As she points out, this is the backdoor effect. BritCard is pitched as the obvious threat to rally against, distracting from how One Login Wallet, NHS app, etc. already verifies 90% of adults via smartphones. Now, she's been chatting with me about this because I wasn't sure what to do. And she has pointed out that you can go through and avoid the Login One system by getting an accredited person to verify who you are, like your accountant or solicitor. So technically, that keeps you out of the Login One system. But as she points out, all roads lead to one login. Hence, company directors are the first group they're going after. And if directors all acquiesce, they will come for sole traders and the rest of us. And eventually, you will need one login to work, access your bank, social media, travel, etc. The possibilities are endless. One login is mandatory from 2027 to access all government services. If we don't stop this now, everyone will be affected. 11 million people have already signed up to One Login, and I don't think they have any idea what the system is and does. One Login is digital ID. I can't say it any simpler than that. It might not have reached its full draconian potential yet, enslaving all citizens, but it will be used to do so for all, and that is what is happening right now, before everyone's eyes. So whilst the ACSP route is slightly better, that's when you get your accountant to verify who you are, for those that don't want to use One Login. But even with that, your name, address and date of birth are going to be held as attributes to be shared. That's because those details will link to your bank account and then your social media and then your purchases. That's what the digital framework attributes trust stuff does. And we know they will then just switch us off. It's already happened in Vietnam. It's been very helpful discussing this with her because it's very easy to think like, oh, they know who I am. It's not going to hurt if I just, do this verification, especially if it's done through the accountant. I'm not really signing up for digital ID. But discussing this with her in depth is really made me see, oh yeah, we have to draw the line in the sand right now and say no. So I have also decided that I am going to not verify my company. I've instructed my accountant not to do it on my behalf. And I am willing to have them disqualify me as a director and shut down my company if that is what is required. But it's also made me look at it like, do I actually need a limited company? I'm not sure that I do now. I'm not employing people. I mean, my business has got considerably tinier since I've been concentrating on things like Council Watch and writing books and things. So I don't know that I actually need a limited company. You know, I'm paying corporation tax, I'm paying for the accountant. So I'm thinking of actually doing a social experiment where the new course that I'm in the process of writing, which is all about how to create a medicine cabinet that will get you through a lot more emergencies than just a cut finger or something. And especially if we run out of drugs, our supply chain is particularly vulnerable on this tiny little island of ours. So it's to show people how to be prepared and how to use them. So I'm thinking of actually conducting a social experiment to see if I give this course, which would be a very valuable course, if I give that away for free, would people actually donate? And it doesn't have to be money. Someone might send me, I don't know, a month's supply of eggs or something. Is it possible for us to find ways to support one another, because we've all got skills and businesses and services that we all need? Can we do these kind of swapsy stuff? Now, I know there is tax on bartering and whatnot, but I'm sure there should be a way of, if there was a nice big community that we all do stuff for one another and it all kind of works out. Maybe it's not a direct bartering, like person A does something for person B, yeah, and gets something from person C, but person B gives person C. I'm getting confused with my persons now. But anyway, you see what I mean? It's kind of just community helping one another. So we feed and clothe one another and we do whatever needs to be done. With a big enough community, that could work. So you can't tax, well, they probably find a way, but at the moment I don't think you can tax community, people just helping one another without expecting anything in return. So is that a system that we should be creating right now? So I don't know. So I'm going to conduct this social experiment and see what happens. Instead of paying out money for advertising, I will ask people that have downloaded this very valuable information for free, could you tell 10 people about this? And if one or two of them does some donations, actually, that probably would be enough to keep me clothed and fed and a roof over my head. Who knows? It doesn't necessarily have to be a limited company. And especially as I'm giving stuff away, I need to look into, does that make you liable still? That's the whole point of having a limited company, is that it limits your liability. If some so-and-so does decide to sue you, which in this very litigious world seems sensible. But if you're giving stuff away with the disclaimer that, you use this information at your own risk, does one actually need a limited company? I don't know. So anyway, I'm not going to make any rash decisions, but equally, Claire has really educated me on this isn't the time just to be acquiescing to stuff. This is one foot in a door you don't want your foot in. So I too am not going to verify. I'm not going to take the easy option of letting my accountant verify my identity. And we'll see what happens, because on the government website, the language is very interesting. They say, we may fine you. You may have committed a criminal offence if you don't. Well, surely the law should be clear and in black and white. You've either committed a criminal offence and you'll be fined, or you won't be. There shouldn't be any may in that sentence, surely. So we had a lot of you may during COVID, lots of threats that they didn't actually carry out. So let's see. But something else that you can do to buy a bit more time if you're a company director, and I have checked this with Claire, Jason on Twitter sent me a clip from somebody called Ordinary Guy, I think is his username. So he points out that limited companies have to put in a company confirmation statement every year to Companies House to say who the directors are. Now, you can do that as many times in a year as you want. So he's suggesting on the 17th of November, we all put in a confirmation statement saying who our company directors are, And that buys us a whole year of time before we'd have to go through the verification process, by which time, who knows what has happened, but it buys us an extra year. So that's good, because I can really think about, do I want to continue with a limited company, or shall I go down a different route? What other options? Because it does cost a small fortune running a business. I'm not sure I actually want one anymore. But anyway, there's the small matter of being able to have food and a roof over my head. But, other than that, I'm ready to retire. So if you do know any company directors in the UK, do please let them know that even if they go through the verification process with their accountant at the post office or the solicitor, whatever way they do it, they are still tippy-toeing into this digital ID control system. So we need pushback, and we need pushback now, because this isn't just about us. Whatever we don't say no to, the next generation are going to be well and truly lumbered with it. So I know it's a pain, I know it's a hassle, but now is the time to find a way to do things differently. If we do not get ourselves out of the system will get us. It's as simple as that. So anyway, that's enough of that. This weekend's video from me is going to be an interview with a lovely lady called Althea Finch, who has something called the pain-free method. Now, it's an alternative, a very alternative way to deal with pain. Now, she believes that pain always has a message for us, other than just the message of pain. So she looks at how to tap into the message that the pain's trying to give you. And when you do that, a lot of the time, the pain will release if there are reasons outside of, oh, look, I've stubbed my toe or whatever. So it's a very interesting video. So keep an eye out for that. And until next time, take care.